Hey guys, it's Anna from the Heartbeat Hive, and I'm back with another video after a little bit of a hiatus, but who's counting, right? Today I'm going to be talking about mapping out your energy when you're overwhelmed and you kind of just get paralyzed, you don't know what to do, and you get stuck and you stay there. What we want to do is bring you out of that by mapping your energy visually. Now, this works really well for creative people because sometimes that's just what we have to do. Maybe we don't want to talk about it, maybe we don't want to journal about it, but somehow we need to externalize the internal feelings so that energy has somewhere to go. And then we can start looking at it from the outside and creating solutions. So I have some notes here. I have a couple of steps for you on how to do this process, and I'm going to draw it out in real time on my digital whiteboard so you can see how I go through this process. All right, so step number one is to identify what is bothering you. When we gain clarity, we're able to decide and make better decisions. But if we're not clear, we're going to stay in that overwhelmed state. All right, number two is to use lines or shapes to represent your feelings about those things. This is going to make sense when I draw it out for you. The third step is to identify one way to create a solution for one of the things that is bothering you. Don't go chasing waterfalls, trying to create all the solutions in one sitting. We just want to go for one. Now, if you're inspired and inclined during that session, go ahead and jot them down. But the next step is you're going to break down the solution into actions. And my recommendation is to only do that for one thing, not all of them. You can always revisit your map whenever you're ready and you've completed one of the solutions or you're currently working towards it. The last step is to decide when to take the action, the first action that's part of your solution, and to schedule it. Because let's be honest, if we don't make it a priority, it ain't going to happen. All right, let's get started. Identify what is bothering you. All right, keep this in mind. I'm going to be doing this in real time. So I have not actually thought about what's overwhelming me yet, except for one thing. So this is for reals. All right, so we want to make sure, let's see, I got my pen on. I'm going to go for black. All right, what's bothering me? One thing that's bothering me right now is that I have a situation with my passwords. Whoa, I am like not doing well with my pen here. All right, my passwords are like iffy. Now, let's see. What else is bothering me? My food has been off. Wow, my handwriting is really bad. Excuse me. So it's been off and it's contributing to my mood. Like, I'm not cranky, but I'm not the best I could be, okay? Let's be honest. All right. What's next? I'm only going to go for 3 because I want to just kind of make sure I don't go crazy over here and that this video is too long. All right, so passwords, my food's been off, and then let's see. I'm having trouble with knowing what keyboard shortcuts. I'm just gonna write that down. Keyboard shortcuts to use for which program, you know? So I know that they're possible, but within each program, I'm like, I don't know, I can't remember. And then I end up clicking forever and looking for things when really, if I could just learn a bit of keyboard shortcuts for my favorite programs, then I might be better off. All right, so this is about like time. This has to do with time. Sometimes it's good to kind of identify what it's associated with. So mood is one of them, time is one of them, passwords is pretty much like frustration. I'll just write that. Again, I hope you can read my handwriting. All right, so now that I've identified what's bothering me, what I'm going to do is draw out in lines how each thing that's bothering me is represented visually. Okay, so to do this, I'm going to actually move this over a little bit and start here. So the first one is passwords. I'm going to choose a new color. passwords. All right, if I was to represent this, it would look something like, this is how I feel about passwords, okay? Pretty much like going from your elbow around your elbow to get to your nose. That's how I feel about them. So the next one was food. Let me use like an orangey color. Orange is the color of health. All right, so the next thing is food. And we said that, we said that I was associated with my mood, very much so. I'm one of those people that can get kind of hangry or cranky when I don't feel satiated. All right, so what does this look like visually? I'm going to put a box around this one. Maybe not a box, maybe a little squiggly thing. Gosh, I am just terrible with my pen today. All right, let's pretend this is a nice box. How do I feel about the food situation in my life right now? Okay, what came to mind was something like this. I'm just freestyling here. Now, do I need to interpret this right now? No, I don't need to know what everything means. I'm just doing it because this is what literally came into my mind. Some shapes, some dots, and a progression downward where in the middle was like an ellipses, an unknown. All right, so let's move on to the last aspect. What was it? It was passwords, food, and keyboard shortcuts. All the designers out there are all like, whoa, this is bad. But don't worry, it doesn't matter. I'm giving you the information of how I do this, and you can make it look as pretty as you want. All right, keyboard shortcuts. How do I feel about this sort of thing in my life right now? It does contribute to overwhelm because I know that my time is limited and I have a lot of things to do and that I really want to be productive. So I'm just talking this out a little bit before I decide what lines represent this area of frustration. So I know the potential of keyboard shortcuts. I know it has to do with time, and I sometimes get confused because the context of each program is something that I'll have to recall in the way of shortcuts if I really decide to use them. But I think there's a solution for that. Alright, so let me close my eyes for 1 second. How does this make me feel in the way of overwhelm? My heart is actually beating a little bit faster right now as I think about this. So that is an indicator for me. So I'm going to go with this. It's a very like staticky feeling, and it's chaotic, but it's angular. Again, don't worry about if this actually makes sense. Just do what makes sense for you and map it out. Okay. So, we're using lines to represent our feelings. It doesn't have to make sense. I did talk about it a little bit because I'm alone and no one can hear me. But you don't have to. You can just draw it out as a representation of how you're feeling right now, knowing that you have the power to create the solution or begin to create a solution. Okay? The more clear you get on what's bothering you, the more likely you'll be able to pinpoint something that can relieve you in a way. Okay, so the next step in my process is to identify one way to create one solution. So we're not going to try to create solutions for all three of these today. I'm going to choose the one that I feel like would have the biggest impact for me, just so that I can get started and I don't stay in the overwhelmed state and never look at this drawing again. Okay, so I'm going to move this over. I'm going to choose You know what? I'm gonna choose, they're all really compelling because they're all pain points in my life right now. But honestly, I think I'm gonna choose the keyboard shortcut. Sounds really nerdy, but that's only because I know that food is something that I've been overwhelmed by before, in the way of like, why am I not making this priority and such, but I've solved it before. So even though it's not solved right now, I have solved it before. The same goes for passwords. Obviously, my old system is now becoming obsolete, but I have solved that one before. So the keyboard shortcuts, though, I haven't really done that on a large scale. I've maybe learned keyboard shortcuts for one program, like ever. I've had good intentions, but I haven't followed through. So that's the area that I'm going to choose. And if you look at it visually, for me, it looks the most intimidating and like stabby and angular, and for that reason, I'm in. All right, let's go here. So the next step, we'll go right over here. We're doing the keyboard shortcuts, okay, people? That's what we're sticking with. The next step is to break the solutions into actions. So we're doing the keyboard shortcuts. The step is identify one way to create a solution. So let me just put what we're working on here. Spare you my bad handwriting. So what am I supposed to do? Identify one way to create a solution. All right. One way would be to go to help menu. Okay, when should I go to the help menu? The next time you open the program. Okay, but what if I go down a rabbit hole? No. Set an alarm after opening help menu. So let's say your goal when you open the help menu is to find whether they have a shortcut menu, and then read through them. Oh, I'm not typing this down. So read through options of shortcuts. Good. Decide which shortcuts are most helpful. And maybe that's just one. Maybe you try out 3 and see which one is easy to remember. That would be something. All right, so we see that. Okay, let's do an experiment then. Let's do it. Let's go to my calendar and go to settings and make sure that the keyboard shortcuts are on. Hey, they're on. All right, it says press question to show the list of available keyboard shortcuts. All right, there I am. I'm going to look at the time right now just so I don't go down the rabbit hole. It's 3:15 my time, p.m. All right, navigation today might be helpful. So what I'm going to do is write them down right here. So shortcuts that catch my eye. One is going to today. So what is that? I think it's just a T, right? Let's go back. Yep, today. Let's see, day view, week view, month view. You know what? I like the week view just cause, but I want to look at this. I see that it's a progression, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which seems easier to remember than letters. So I'm going to go with the number option. All right, so I'm going to go back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equals view options. All right, so I'm coming to that threshold of 3 different solutions inside of this one overwhelming problem. I'm only looking at one program, so I will have to do this process of finding the solution, but not going down the rabbit hole anytime I open a program that I use a lot. So I'm going to put that on my notes here. So one thing I need to remember in this process is find the keyboard shortcuts for programs I use the most. Don't go chasing waterfalls, remember. Remembering the keyboard shortcuts for 10 programs? No, 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 no. The ones you use the most. So I use Google Calendar a lot. Let's go back and let's look if there's one more that I can try to remember and try out and see if it would be helpful for me. All right, delete. Oh, that sounds dangerous. I don't want that one. Backspace, escape, back to calendar view, save event, Command S. You know, I never really looked at these. Print. I don't need to print anything. Settings I actually use a lot because I share a lot of calendars and I coach creatives on how to block out their time and design their life where they have space to create. So I'm going to go with settings. I'm going to go back here. So the final one I'm going to try right now, I am 2 minutes into my 5 minutes, is S, which equals the settings area of GCal. All right, so now I've identified one way to create a solution. I've mapped out some of the steps here that I could do to make this process a little easier each time I go to a program. And then I'm reminding myself, hey, don't try to learn them all for 10 programs. Learn them for the ones that you use the most. In this case, it's going to be Google Calendar just for today. And then I wrote down the shortcuts that catch my eye. My eye, not yours. All right, so today is T. You know what? This looks confusing. I'm going to change this. The shortcut is on the front end here. There we go. And then the action is on the back end. It's important when you write notes to make them consistent, otherwise your brain does extra work. All right then. So T, the numbers 1 through 6, and S are what I'm going to try now in this setting of Google Calendar. Okay, here goes. This is exciting. I'm diving into the solution or possible solution for something that's been a little bit overwhelming for me, and it contributes to the time I spend switching views, clicking on things, and that's exciting because that will give me more time, which will reduce my overwhelm. Okay, so the first one was T. Uh-oh, did it work? T. Okay, so it didn't work. This is good. This is real time, people. Let's go to 1. Okay, so that worked just today. So I guess I don't even need the first one. If I can go to today using 1, then I don't need the other one. Great. That's less to remember. I'm just going to cut that one out. Cool. So 1 works. 2 gives me the week, which I really, really like. 3 gives me what? The whole month? That's pretty good. 4 is 4 days. I have no use for that. 5 is like an agenda. This is kind of cool, but I have that already on my phone, the way that I have my widget set up, so I don't know if I need that. I don't know if you can see it. I sort of have the same view, but I like this one on my phone because it's more colorful and there's blocks. These little dots, they don't really do much for me. So number 5, that's one I don't really care about. Let's go to 6. Oh, this is actually useful when you're trying to kind of go and look at like what would be the second Friday of March instead of going, you know, when you're in the view going up. So yeah, 6 is good. So what did I say? Let's go back to 5. Yeah, 5 I don't really care about. So I'm going to eliminate that one. What other views? Let's just go back down the line. So 6 I like. 5 I don't. 4 I don't care about. I like seeing the whole week. Okay, let's go back. 3 is okay. That view actually looks really overwhelming to me, but I'm gonna leave it. And then 2, whoops, let's go back. 2, 2's the week. I like that view a lot. And then 1 is the day. I think that's good for now. So you can see we eliminated 2 of the shortcuts within that series. Whether or not I remember that I leave out 4 and 5, I don't really care, but I do like that it's in a sequence, so I think I will be using that one. All right, so let's go and see if S works for reaching the settings area, which I do use a lot in this view. So what I want to do is make sure that this shortcut, which is S, goes to settings, and I don't know if it's going to work. It does! Sweet. Awesome. So I do like that one. This is a yes. I'm going to make a note. Yes. Cool. Let's try the T one more time, just in case I didn't do it right. No, it doesn't work. All right, so what was it? It was question mark to bring up the shortcuts. That's kind of cool. As I progress and as I get used to these first ones, then I know to bring it back up, I just do the question mark. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to mark that here. Question mark equals brings up shortcuts. Cool. So right now, this is enough for me today, and I'm actually like 1 minute over my 5-minute mark, and I found 2 keyboard shortcuts, one that has like 4 options. So actually I have 5 keyboard shortcuts, 6 if you include the question mark, that are going to help me navigate this program that I use a lot. So that's awesome. This is well worth 6 minutes, right? So over time, my time is going to be increased by using these, and I was able to remember them. If I can't remember them, I do have a fallback plan to use the question mark, which makes total sense. Hey, I don't know what I'm looking for. Press the question mark. All right then, so the last step in my process here is to decide the first action and schedule it. So even though I went and did part of this practice to find a couple shortcuts that I want to start using, if I hadn't had the time now, which is silly because it did only take 6 minutes, then I would schedule it. So what I would do is do this, and I'm looking at the week view. Let me just play with these again. 1, 2, 3, 6. All right, cool. So let me look at the week view and see. So I have reminders on my calendar. A lot of people don't use those, and that's totally fine. But for me, I find it easier to turn them on and off. So I put my habits, for the most part, or things that I want to work on, in the reminders section. So what I'm going to do is tomorrow, I'm going to add a reminder, and it's going to say use GCal shortcuts. So I'm going to put that as all day so that it sits at the top. So if I'm on the computer, and I usually have Google Calendar open when I'm on a computer, but it's going to sit up there, and it'll be there for me to see and remember, oh yeah, you should really use the shortcuts today while you're on the computer. All right, I hope that's been helpful for you. Let me know in the comments if this makes sense. Let's go back and review the lines and see kind of how we progressed from idea to execution. All right, so let me go back. Yeah, let's go all the way back to the beginning. So this is where I started. I identified 3 areas that were contributing to my overwhelm. I kind of identified the area, or maybe the frustration or the emotion that it makes me have. So 2 of them seemed like computer oriented, so that tells me that I've been on my computer a lot, and that I do need to become more efficient in how I use my computer and programs, so that I don't have to be on the computer as much, because it hurts my eyes, even though I have all the blue light blockers in the world. So we went there. Then what will we do? We mapped the, you know what? I don't know how to move this, but we're going to keep going. Keep on swimming. All right, so then I mapped the three areas, the three things that were contributing to overwhelm visually, how it made me feel. And it's not going to make sense to anyone else. And that's okay. This is an exercise for you, not for anybody else, for you. All right, so I have the passwords, which is like, it sort of looks like the way the internet works, like going to all these servers and making loops and coming back down. That's kind of how I feel about them, because currently I have to look in a different place, and if I don't know where this is and I don't store them on my computer or Chrome, and then I'm out of luck, right? So I do have a solution for that, but that wasn't what I focused on. I would make a note to focus on that type of one solution for this area the next time I do this process. But I'm not going to do that until I've started using my keyboard shortcuts and I become a little more familiar for this one program. All right, it's important to stay focused and not try to change too many things at one time, because it's just that in itself is too overwhelming. What we're trying to do is eliminate and relieve you. So one solution at a time, put it into practice, and then once you feel comfortable, you can move forward. So after I get comfortable with keyboard shortcuts, I may move on to food, because that greatly affects my mood and my health. Or I may do the password situation, because it can probably be remedied in a day if I spent a couple hours inputting them into a password manager or whatever I decide. All right, so I mapped it out visually. They do make sense to me. And then we went to this giant Post-it here, and I went through the process in real time, which took me, let's just call it 7 minutes total from start to finish, to begin taking an action on this area that was causing me overwhelm. Now, did I find the shortcuts for all the programs that I'm using? No. No. But I did start, and starting is part of the process of relieving yourself from being overwhelmed. All right, these are very concrete solutions and steps, right? And something I can put into practice. So lastly, what did I do? I went in here and I made a reminder so that tomorrow when I get on my computer, it's sitting up there saying, use me, remember, use the shortcuts. And I did it with a program that I have open pretty much all the time. All right, I hope this has been helpful for you. And let me make myself big here. And that if you have special ways that you map out your own energy, please let me know. I'd love to see that. I'd love to hear about it. Anyways, I hope you are all staying productive and focused, and I wish you the best in your creative practice. Know that you have value in this world, and you are absolutely loved.